The man who once shouted, "Yippee-ki-yay," across movie screens worldwide can no longer speak. Bruce Willis, the action hero who conquered a childhood stutter to become one of Hollywood's biggest stars, is now fighting his most heartbreaking battle yet. And what his family recently revealed about his final years will completely change how you see his entire career. What you're about to discover is a story that spans over 6 decades, from a silent boy in Germany to a global icon worth over $250 million, and finally to a man whose voice has been stolen by one of the cruelest diseases imaginable. This isn't just about a celebrity's decline. It's about the fragility of everything we take for granted. His wife Emma recently shared something that will break your heart. Sometimes I look at him and think, where did my Bruce go? But then she added something beautiful. And then I realize he's still right there, just in a different way. But first, let me ask you, which Bruce Willis movie changed your life? Was it Die Hard? The Sixth Sense? Pulp Fiction? Drop it in the comments, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why every single one of his performances was more precious than we ever knew. And here's something that might shock you. Doctors now believe the signs of his illness were there decades before anyone noticed. The boy who couldn't speak. Long before the world knew him as John McClane, Walter Bruce Willis was just a boy desperately trying to find his voice. Born on March 19, 1955, in Idar Oberstein, West Germany, to an American soldier father and German mother, Bruce's early life was a mix of 2 cultures on a military base still shadowed by war. When he was just 2, everything changed. The family moved to Carneys Point, New Jersey, a tough, blue-collar town where his father worked as a welder and his mother at a local bank. They didn't have much money, and young Bruce felt like he didn't quite belong. Then came the nightmare that would define his childhood. Around age 6, Bruce developed a severe stutter. The words he wanted to say would get trapped in his throat, refusing to come out. He later described it as taking 3 minutes to complete a sentence. It was crushing for anyone who wanted to express themselves, who wanted to be heard and couldn't. It was frightening. The cruelty of children made it worse. They nicknamed him Buck Buck, mocking the sound of his stutter. School became a daily battlefield of anxiety and fear. He'd skip classes just to avoid being called on by teachers, knowing the words might not come. But here's what's absolutely heartbreaking, knowing what we know now. Bruce would spend his entire life fighting to keep his voice, only to have it taken away again by a merciless disease. The silence he was forced into as a child was the loudest and most painful sound in his young life. And tragically, it wouldn't be the last time silence would define his world. The miracle on stage. High school could have been the end for a boy with a crushing stutter. Bruce became the class clown, using humor as a shield. "A big part of my sense of humor came out of my stuttering," he once said, in trying to overcome that and have some dignity. But then something magical happened that would change everything. At 15, he took a massive risk and joined the drama club. The moment he stepped onto that stage and was given lines to read, something incredible occurred. As he opened his mouth to speak as another character, the stutter vanished completely. "When I became another character in a play, I lost the stutter. It was phenomenal," he later recalled. For the first time, people weren't laughing at him. They were listening to him, hanging on his every word. This discovery ignited a fire in him. Acting gave him the confidence that had been denied in every classroom. By 1973, the boy who once hid in the back of the room was elected student council president. Can you imagine that transformation? After high school, he studied theater at Montclair State University, where speech therapy further improved his fluency. But by 1977, Bruce was restless. He dropped out and moved to New York City with nothing but dreams and determination. What's incredible to think about now is how acting literally gave Bruce his voice back. The same voice that would become iconic in movies like Die Hard, Pulp Fiction, and The Sixth Sense. The very tool that saved him from childhood silence would later be stolen by the cruelest twist of fate. The bartender's dream. New York City in the late 70s was brutal for aspiring actors. Bruce arrived broke and had to bartend to survive. But even behind the bar, his personality shone through. He'd skate to work, play harmonica for tips, and put on a show for customers. The bar became his first real stage. The rejections were countless. Sleeping on couches, sometimes on park benches, but he never gave up. Slowly, persistence paid off with small off-Broadway roles, starting with Heaven and Earth in 1977. It was during these struggling years that he met John Goodman at Chelsea Central Bar. Together, they'd create wild, improvised plays for tiny audiences, working without scripts and throwing themselves into every performance with raw energy. They earned just a few dollars a week, but the passion was priceless. These performances weren't just fun, they were building something that would last a lifetime. Bruce was developing the charismatic presence and comedic timing that would make him a superstar. More importantly, he was building resilience that would carry him through Hollywood's highest highs and, decades later, his most devastating lows. Think about it. Every laugh he got behind that bar, every small victory on those tiny stages, was preparing him for a career that would touch millions of lives. But none of us knew then that time was more precious than we could imagine. Overnight sensation. For years, Bruce was one of thousands of struggling actors in New York. Then, 1985 changed everything. He auditioned for a new TV show called Moonlighting, and ABC rejected him 11 times. But for his final audition, he showed up with a shaved head, earrings, and an attitude they couldn't ignore. Moonlighting premiered March 3rd, 1985, and Bruce Willis became a household name overnight. The show was a massive hit, celebrated for witty dialogue and his electric chemistry with Sybil Shepherd. But behind the scenes, pure chaos. The tension between Bruce and Sybil was legendary. They'd argue before scenes and refuse to speak once cameras stopped rolling. Scripts were incredibly long. Filming took twice as long as normal shows. And the pressure was crushing. In 1988, Bruce collapsed from exhaustion and had to be hospitalized. That's how intense the schedule was. But here's the fascinating part. While dealing with television fame's madness, Bruce did something completely unexpected. In January 1987, he released a music album called The Return of Bruno. Critics rolled their eyes at a TV star trying to be a singer, but fans loved it. The album sold over 500,000 copies and hit number 2 on UK charts. It was bold, fun, and completely Bruce Willis. The show finally ended May 14th, 1989, but it had transformed Bruce from unknown actor to legitimate star. What nobody realized was how this experience with intense pressure and exhaustion was preparing him for battles ahead, including one he could never have imagined. Yippee-ki-yay forever. Here's where Bruce Willis became legendary. In the late 80s, nobody saw the funny guy from Moonlighting as an action hero. The script for Die Hard was bouncing around Hollywood, and every major action star said no. Schwarzenegger, Stallone, they all passed. Then the studio made a shocking offer to Bruce Willis. $5 million that was superstar money, not TV money. Hollywood thought they'd lost their minds. Die Hard was filmed mostly inside a Los Angeles office building, and when it hit theaters July 15th, 1988, it exploded. Over $140 million worldwide, and Bruce Willis became one of the biggest action stars on the planet. But here's the tragic irony. During filming, a loud explosion went off too close to him, causing permanent hearing loss in his left ear. He kept it quiet so production wouldn't be delayed, but the damage never healed. Years later, his wife Emma would wonder if this hearing loss contributed to his communication struggles, long before they knew about the dementia. Bruce's John McClane wasn't a muscle-bound superhero. He was a regular guy who got scared, got hurt, and bled. Audiences loved him because they could see themselves in him. He redefined what an action hero could be. That hearing loss from Die Hard is heartbreaking to think about now. The very movie that made him a superstar also began taking away his ability to hear clearly, foreshadowing a much crueler fate that would eventually steal his voice entirely. Love and family. While his career exploded, Bruce's personal life made headlines too. In July 1987, he met Demi Moore at a movie screening. She was engaged to someone else, but their connection was immediate and powerful. 4 months later, November 21st, 1987, they did something completely spontaneous. They got married in Las Vegas. Demi later wrote that they were on their way to gamble when Bruce suddenly said, "I think we should get married." She thought he was joking, until she realized he was completely serious. They became Hollywood's ultimate power couple and started a beautiful family. Rumor was born in 1988, Scout in 1991, and Tallulah in 1994. They tried balancing skyrocketing careers with raising 3 girls, taking turns on movies so one parent was always home. But fame's pressure took its toll. In 1998, after 11 years of marriage, they separated. The divorce was finalized in October 2000, but they agreed on one thing. Their daughters came first. Bruce later told Rolling Stone, "I still love Demi. We're very close. We have 3 children whom we will continue to raise together, and we're probably as close now as we ever were." They created something beautiful, a blended family based on love and respect rather than traditional marriage. This foundation would become incredibly important in the years ahead, providing the support system Bruce would desperately need during his darkest battle. What makes their relationship even more touching is knowing how they'd all come together again to support Bruce through his illness. Sometimes, the strongest families are forged not by staying together, but by choosing love over everything else. More than action. After Die Hard's success, Bruce could have played action heroes forever. Instead, he proved he was much more. In 1989, he voiced a talking baby in Look Who's Talking. Sounds silly, but genius business move. He negotiated profit sharing and made a fortune when the film hit almost $300 million worldwide. Then he took a complete risk with In Country, playing a Vietnam veteran with deep emotional pain. Critics praised his dramatic range, proving Bruce wasn't afraid of challenges. The real game changer came in 1994 with Pulp Fiction. Quentin Tarantino cast him as Butch Coolidge, a boxer who refuses to throw a fight. Bruce took a massive pay cut, only $800,000, because it was about the art, not money. Pulp Fiction became a cultural phenomenon and critical darling, showing the world Bruce Willis was a serious, versatile actor capable of complex characters. He pushed even further in 1995's 12 Monkeys, playing a time traveler from a dark future. He lost weight, visited mental hospitals to prepare, and even fractured his shoulder during stunts. Another critical and commercial success. These weren't just career moves. They were Bruce proving to himself and the world that he was an artist, not just a movie star. Looking back, it's beautiful that he got to explore so many different sides of his talent before the disease began taking that gift away. Every risk he took, every character he inhabited, every line he delivered with precision, it all becomes more precious, knowing his voice would eventually be silenced. Blockbuster King. By the late 90s, Bruce Willis ruled Hollywood blockbusters. The Fifth Element in 1997 was a wild, futuristic adventure unlike anything audiences had seen. It became a massive international hit and beloved cult classic. Then came 1998's Armageddon, the ultimate disaster movie where Bruce played Harry Stamper, an oil driller sent to space to save Earth from a giant asteroid. Biggest box office hit of 1998, over $553 million worldwide. But even success had challenges. Bruce famously clashed with director Michael Bay over cutscenes, especially emotional moments he felt were crucial to his character. Despite the drama, Bruce delivered a powerful performance, even improvising the tearful goodbye to his daughter, one of the movie's most unforgettable moments. However, as his career peaked, personal life faced challenges. His marriage to Demi was ending, and they separated in 1998 after years under intense public scrutiny. The divorce was one of Hollywood's most expensive, but they remained committed co-parents. Fame brought darker troubles too. In 1992, he faced a false paternity claim that hurt his image as a devoted family man. Earlier, in 1989, he was arrested after a loud party, though charges were dropped. Years later, he'd open up about past alcohol struggles and how Alcoholics Anonymous helped him get back on track. Through massive success and blockbuster hits, Bruce was navigating fame's turbulent reality. What's touching to know now is that through all these public struggles, he was building the inner strength he'd need for his greatest battle ahead. I see dead people. Just when everyone thought they had Bruce Willis figured out, 1999's The Sixth Sense changed everything. Playing Dr. Malcolm Crowe, a child psychologist helping a boy who sees ghosts, Bruce relied not on explosions or one-liners, but on stillness, sadness, and deep emotion. The M. Night Shyamalan film became a global phenomenon, holding #1 for 5 straight weeks and making nearly $673 million worldwide. The shocking twist, Bruce's character had been dead the entire time, left audiences gasping. His quiet, heartbreaking performance was why the movie worked so brilliantly. He commanded the screen with just a look, proving his incredible range. In 2000, he reunited with Shyamalan for Unbreakable, playing David Dunn, sole survivor of a train crash who realizes he might be a real-life superhero. Another success at over $248 million. Developing a passionate cult following and eventually becoming the first part of a trilogy. These films marked a powerful new chapter. After years as the ultimate action hero, Bruce showed a deeper, more vulnerable side. He took huge risks on quiet, character-driven stories, and those risks paid off spectacularly. He was no longer just a movie star. He was a respected actor who could surprise everyone, keeping audiences guessing what he'd do next. What makes these performances even more poignant now is seeing Bruce explore the quieter, more introspective side of acting. These weren't just great movies, they were a masterclass in subtle performance that showed his incredible depth as an artist. Second chance at love. After his divorce from Demi, Bruce focused on career and daughters. Then in 2007, he met British model Emma Hemming, and his life changed again. Despite a 24-year age gap, they fell deeply in love. Bruce said, "We fell mad crazy in love." On March 21, 2009, they married in a private ceremony at his home in Turks and Caicos. In a beautiful display of their blended family, Demi and his 3 daughters were there to celebrate. With Emma, Bruce found new peace and stability. They welcomed daughters Mabel Ray in 2012 and Evelyn Penn in 2014. He became a devoted girl dad, surrounded by the love of 5 daughters. Emma seamlessly joined the larger Willis-Moore family, creating a warm, supportive unit. In 2019, celebrating their 10th anniversary, Bruce and Emma renewed vows on the same beach where they married, with all 5 daughters watching. This unique, loving blended family showed the world that divorce doesn't mean the end of family. In 2020, during global lockdowns, Bruce made headlines quarantining with Demi and their grown daughters in Idaho, while Emma and their young daughters stayed in Los Angeles. They posted happy photos in matching pajamas, playing games, enjoying time together. Emma left sweet comments on pictures. It was testament to the love and respect they all shared. This incredible family unit, built on friendship and unconditional love, would become the most important support system in Bruce's life. The strength they cultivated would soon be needed more than ever. The slow fade. By the mid-2010s, something changed in Bruce Willis's career. The man who once commanded multi-million-dollar paychecks began appearing in steady streams of low-budget, direct-to-video action movies, films most people never saw in theaters. Critics were harsh about movies like 2015's Vice, calling his performance dull and lazy. Behind the scenes, people working with him noticed troubling signs. Reports from sets described confusion and trouble remembering lines. Sometimes he needed dialogue fed through earpieces, or directors had to shorten scenes and use body doubles. The spark that made him a superstar, his quick wit and sharp energy, seemed to be fading, but nobody knew why. His public image took hits too. In 2013, conflict with old friend Sylvester Stallone became public. Bruce was offered $3 million for 4 days' work on Expendables 3, but reportedly demanded $4 million. Stallone called him greedy and lazy and replaced him. The public fallout was embarrassing. But here's the heartbreaking truth we now understand. These moments look completely different in hindsight. The flood of low-budget movies wasn't about greed. It was about working as much as possible while he still could. The struggles on set weren't lack of passion. They were tragic early signs of devastating illness taking hold. His family later explained these roles were ways for him to continue doing what he loved as his abilities declined. They weren't passion projects. They were signals that something was terribly wrong. The slow fade wasn't a choice. It was the heartbreaking beginning of a long goodbye. The devastating truth, the whispers finally became devastating reality in March 2022. In a joint statement, his entire family, wife Emma, ex-wife Demi, and all 5 daughters, announced Bruce had been diagnosed with aphasia, a brain disorder affecting communication ability, and would retire from acting immediately. The news shocked Hollywood and millions of fans worldwide. Suddenly, his recent confusing performances made painful sense. He'd been struggling to speak, to understand, to be the actor he'd always been. Emma shared the relief of going public. I could breathe. I could really exhale and sort of just feel this weight lift from my shoulders. They'd been protecting his privacy while dealing with terrifying uncertainty. But just under a year later, February 2023, came even more heartbreaking news. Bruce's condition had progressed. He'd received a more specific diagnosis: frontotemporal dementia, FTD. This rare, incurable disease slowly destroys brain parts controlling personality, behavior, and language. The family has been incredibly open, hoping to raise awareness for other families facing the same battle. Emma became a powerful advocate for caregivers, sharing both grief and small moments of joy. I'm not saying it's any easier, but I've had to get used to what's happening so that I can be grounded in what is. His daughters share their pain and love too. Rumor wrote on Father's Day, "Today is hard. I feel a deep ache in my chest to talk to you and tell you everything I'm doing. I wish I asked you more questions while you could still tell me about it all." But she finds gratitude. "I can still hold you and hug you and kiss your cheek," noting how his eyes light up when he sees his granddaughter. Demi remains a pillar of strength, visiting often and advising others to meet them where they're at. Don't have an expectation of them needing to be who they were. The echo of a laugh. Today, Bruce Willis lives in a world grown quiet. On August 15, 2025, he moved into specialized care costing over $200,000 yearly, a small price for the safety of the man they love. The vibrant voice that once filled theaters is gone. The man who could talk his way out of any situation now communicates through gentle gestures and fleeting expressions. Emma says while his speech is limited, they communicate on a more cellular level. She cherishes every moment sitting with him, holding his hand, simply being present. Sometimes, love does not need words. I can just sit there with Bruce, and we look at each other, and we laugh and smile, and that, to me, is more than anything. The disease has taken so much, but not everything. His family ensures that. They visit often, filling quiet days with familiar voices and love's warmth. They share meals, tell stories, and keep him connected to a world he struggles to understand. Sometimes, miracles happen in the silence. They'll play a song from The Return of Bruno, and light flickers in his eyes, recognition from long ago. Even more precious, he'll let out a laugh. The same booming, unmistakable laugh that's been part of his charm for decades. These moments are rare, lasting only seconds, but for his family, they're priceless treasures. Bruce Willis taught us that heroes aren't defined by their strength, but by how they face their battles. His family's courage in sharing this journey reminds us to cherish every laugh, every moment, every "I love you," while we still can. His legacy won't just be the movies or characters. It's the story of a man who fought through childhood silence to find his voice, became a global superstar, and in his final battle, is surrounded by unwavering love from a family refusing to let him fight alone. One of Hollywood's most iconic voices may have gone quiet, but the echo of his laughter and the love he inspired will live on forever. What will you do differently after hearing his story? How will you show the people you love that they matter while you still can? Let me know in the comments below, and if this story moved you like it moved me, please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel for more interesting videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.